Pregame.tv, Steve Fezzik with the only two-time finalist in the Cantor Showdown, Bryan Leonard. And Bryan is once again in a local football contest. He goes 6-1 in the Gold Nugget. The good folks, Aaron Kessler and Tony Miller down there running the show. He's into the Final 8 and will be the #1 seed, I'm sure, based upon the preliminary results I've seen in this contest. Bryan, do you know when you're up next week, and how do you feel about it?
Yeah, I feel pretty good, and it's actually the same contest as what it was at Cantor. They just adopted it as the Golden Nugget. People have asked me, when am I going to be on, who's going to be on, whatever, so I just want to go over the contest a little bit. This upcoming week, Halloween, Scott Kellen, excellent NFL handicapper. In fact, he knocked me off in the championship in one of those years. Yeah, I'm the Buffalo Bills or Minnesota Vikings, whatever you want to go.
He told me he kicked your ass.
He probably did. Yeah, I've choked under pressure in the championship. He's going up against Kelly Stewart. Kelly in Vegas. We're all very familiar with Kelly.
I think she's the '2 seed.
I don't think she's #2. I think she's #5. This is
number 5? That's
the 4 or 5 matchup.
2, 5. I've been busy with all this heading on. We are going to talk about the NBA shortly, but okay.
Okay. On November 7th, Ron Boyles against Frank Betty, the 2-7 matchup. I've had a lot of success against Ron. The local sports bettor, you see him around all the time. Well, I think we've gone head-to-head twice, and I was fortunate enough to win both those.
He's a very sharp guy.
Yes. And we all know Frank Betty. You know, one friend of ours.
Tremendous advantage player. If he's in your casino, don't let him do it.
Yeah, one of the brightest guys I've ever met, and just overall good guy. And then I'll be on November 14th against Sam Cahoe, which is a gentleman out of Portland, Oregon. I've met him a couple times down at the Wynn betting into the openers. A sharp guy that specializes in college football. And then the final week, November 21st, our former colleague here, Marco D'Angelo, advanced. He was the #3 seed. He's going up against #6 seed Chuck McDowell, who's out of Tennessee, I believe. I really don't know that much about him, but I did have a little conversation on the internet with him. So if anybody's interested, these will be on ESPN 1100 in Las Vegas, or go down to the Golden Nugget or check it out.
Yeah, I caught Marco's segment, did an excellent job, picked more winners than losers, and Tony Miller does a great job down there. Let's go to basketball, though. NBA. How are you going to win this NBA season? Let us know some of the secrets of the Bryan Leonard trade here.
Well, basically what I try to look at is the NBA to me is all situational, all scheduling wise. For example, we're doing this on opening night, and I don't know what's going to happen in the game, but I played Dallas against San Antonio. It's my typical situation where you got a team getting the ring ceremony, you go against them. I do it every year.
Doesn't work in football, works in every other sport.
Yeah, well, I go against them in the first quarter, I go against them first half, go against them in the game. We'll see how that works out. But you have certain things that work for you all season long, and there's certain teams that have their specialties. They play well on the road, or don't play well on the road. Usually young teams. They play well at home, don't play well on the road. Obviously, you take a look at who's coming up on the schedule, who they just played, certain matchups. You know, certain teams play a different type of defense than others. So everything you have to, basically, it's very similar to a baseball where you've got, I've talked about this many times in baseball, where you not only have your 25-man roster, you've got your hitting that you have to handicap, but then you have your pitching that you have to have 5 starters, and then your bullpen. In basketball, you've got certain matchups where teams play well. A fast team may play very well against a fast team, but then when they play a team that slows it down, they struggle because they can't get out in the way they preferably play. So you got to take a look at that. So that's some of the things we look at.
Do you spend the same amount of time on all the teams? Because I don't. I concentrate on the Western Conference much more.
Yeah, we've had this discussion in the past about it. Obviously, being from Cleveland, I watch all the Cavaliers games, but I want to know all about the teams the Cavaliers are going to play, so I watch every game I can. Obviously, we're doing videos on Tuesdays, so I guess Tuesdays are going to be the one day I won't be able to see unless I use my TiVo. Great product there, but yeah, that's what I do when it comes to the NBA.
And one thing I like to do also is the specific teams I'm following. So how are they faster paced in certain quarters? For years, the Utah Jazz were an under machine in the first half, where the normal team, the total is 200. You make the first half total 100, and you'd see Jazz totals at 96 for the first half. And when you pick up on something like that a team does that no one else picks up, and the odds makers, they just take it and divide by 2 to get the first half lines, you can really find some outstanding opportunities.
Yeah, you definitely can. And one of our colleagues at Pregame, Ed Meyer, publishes a magazine, not actually a magazine, a workbook, I would guess, but he does very good work on his schedule analysis, and you can get some great information for that, because you want to take a look at how teams do when they're playing back-to-back, how teams do when they're playing 3 games in 4 days, that kind of thing. And you can go in, and I've done this many times, you will find a team that plays the 3 games in 4 days, the 4 games in 5 days. They always seem to go over the last game. They're just worn out by the end. So you find another team that likes to run up and down the court. They've got not only an advantage in the total, but they've got an advantage on the side in those games.
Yeah, just like the Miami Heat, when they play back-to-back, it's like Dwayne Wade always gets listed as being questionable, and he never plays because he doesn't play back-to-back games. And it's like, you don't need to wait for it to get reported. You should know, hey, there's not going to be any Wade. And I mean, he might be worth, you know, at his point in the career, he's not worth 3 points anymore. He might be still worth a point in the line, though, certainly.
Well, he's going to be worth more, I think, this year because they don't have LeBron there. But that, when I make my notes on the games, I did all my stats on the game, and then I put in who played, who didn't. If somebody played and didn't play the entire game, either for foul trouble or injury, you have to put that in there. That way you go back and you'll say, you know, it was back when who was the point guard for the Philadelphia 76ers? Doesn't want to practice. Allen Iverson. He didn't want to practice. When he was out of the game, the entire team played totally different. He was the guy that went up and down the court, wanted to get him into a fast rotation. When he didn't play, they didn't have anybody who knew how to shoot. They didn't have anybody that would set the pace, so you play those games under all the time.
When the Lakers were good, when they had Shaq, when Kobe was out, the Lakers would go under. So like Kobe would get reported out and the line would move 2 points, but with the total is really what should have moved the most.
That's correct.
And so, but now the Lakers, well, at least in the past, they didn't care at all, though I think the Lakers may well have a new focus on defense. I don't know if you've read anything about the Lakers in this coming year.
They're going to be in for a long season, unfortunately, if you're a Lakers fan.
Season win 32, down, bet all the way down to 29.5, and I cannot disagree with that. So, yeah, my tips for the upcoming NBA season, Bryan likes to do absolutely every team. Part of it is that as a father of a 3-year-old, I love the idea of, okay, my son goes to sleep at 8 o'clock, and now I can really, obviously I could TiVo all this, but I'm too lazy. And so I just want to spend the time really going over and watching the West Coast teams, and that's when they're playing at that point in time. So it's a lot easier. It just fits better into my schedule to be following those teams. And frankly, with everything going on with football, I just don't have time to follow the Atlanta Hawks and the Philadelphia 76ers.
That's what makes a big point here with college basketball coming up, and I was just talking to Kate about it. It's to the point anymore where there's very few college conferences that I can actually handle because it's just too much work, especially when you got the overlap of football.
Yeah, I actually think that like you've been a Mac specialist forever,
right.
and I know like my one thing I would say is just take Bryan Leonard, lock him in a closet, and he can only come out with Mac selections, and I want a selection on every game, and I bet more often than not you'd come out with more winners than losers playing those games. You would. Only problem is you're going to have certain weeks where you're not going to have any advantage at all, and you've wasted your entire week, and you're not going to be able to get a bet in. And that's true. No matter how long you stare at it, there's going to be certain games that are going to be that way. So thanks for joining us. On the videos here, we are going to have the A team. What do we call it? The second team, the S team. I don't. Well, we were always the B team with Brady and Bryan. Yeah, so we'll have the other team coming in with Dave Koken, Ken Thompson, and company going ahead and producing videos, breaking down more games. So definitely check that as well on pregame.tv. It's 2014, and I'm having a big year. I am having a big year.